FedEx full, we command in the block. Burgundy and gold, got the city on lock. Hustling plays, ain't no need to pretend. DC reppin' strong and we fight to the end. Command is moving, no breaks, no pause. Hands in the dirt, respecting the call. KDot and Amit, dissect the grind. District divider with a city in mind. Join the damn squad, don't miss a bit. And you gotta spread the word, so shit is shit. KDot.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divide, a DC sports podcast. More specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is KDot. This episode, long overdue. Tony, looking at you. We dive into the team history. We finally dive into the team history as we wait in the sports dead period. Speaking of sports dead period, I did rewatch the NFC Championship game out of pure boredom. I do have a couple thoughts. We may get to that, but we're definitely getting to Terry McLaurin. That update over there, we're at an impasse. Are people freaking out or not? We'll get to our thoughts. And then potential new uniforms. It's going to be announced July 9th. So we're going to get into that and common mailbag as we always do. Before we begin this episode, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and KDot.
First and foremost, it just came across my line. I thought you were going to end with dead period and it was going to make for a very awkward segue, but rest in peace to Michael Madsen. Is a huge cinephile, big guy. The Vega Brothers fan, like we needed that fucking movie. But rest in peace to a true legend, especially if you're a cinephile or a Quentin Tarantino guy like I am. Now back to regular scheduled programming. Redskins, the team, now Commanders and Lights. Different name, same blood, same goddamn fight. Gibbs ran the ship. Riggins moved the chains. Sammy Ball threw darts through cold, hard rain. Allen set the tone. Lombardi walked these halls. Sonny threw flames while Theismann stood tall. Darryl ran forever. The Hogs brought war. Sean Taylor hit like the SWAT kicking in a trap house door. Portis ran wild. Moss took flight. Cooley got gritty while Fletch locked down tight. Scary Terry now with hands that don't miss, and Jaden's the future. You can feel that shift. It's a long-ass road built brick by grit. Y'all know the story. Now
Share this shit. And with that, we go to the meat of the episode, which is team history. And a disclaimer. If you have no interest in this, we put time codes on every single episode, so feel free to just click the Terry McLaurin section, and you can get our thoughts on that immediately. Otherwise, thank you for sticking around as I go ahead and finally go into the team history. So the Genesis.
I gotta say, just for the algorithm, if this is not your cup of tea and you like the sound of Amit's voice, just put this on before you go to bed. Just have it play.
That's actually a good point. It's not a bad idea, and it might be what it's used for. So,
no, this is gonna be great, man. We've had hype. We've built this shit up. It's time.
And
history.
I got some pages that I'm going to be referring to here and there as we go through the history. So, beginning with July 9th. 1932, and if that date is familiar, at least July 9th, that's when the new uniform, the alternate uniform is coming out. So a little bit of a nugget already. July 9th, 1932, the NFL awards the city of Boston. Boston, an NFL franchise under the ownership of four guys. George Preston Marshall, that's the big name we're going to get to. Vincent Bendix, Jay O'Brien, and Dorland Doyle. Those are the guys. Anyway, so they got a team. All right, hooray. There's a team in Boston. They're named the Boston Braves to begin with. Very first game against the Brooklyn Dodgers. So it sounds like baseball's happening right now. 14-0 loss, shutout in their first ever game. Very next week, beat the New York Giants 14-6. And the team finishes 4-4-2 in their inaugural season in Boston. However, they lost a lot of money, about $1 million in modern day money. So three of them drop out. Bendix, O'Brien, and Doyle are like, fuck this, we're out. So it's now George Preston Marshall's team and his alone. He does two things entering this next season. He moves the team to Fenway Park, and he renames the team to the Redskins, as we know them all the way up until around 2020-ish. And what you need to know is that it's adjacent to the Braves, but that's literally the reason, is because he didn't want to be the Boston Braves anymore. It wasn't anything like, oh, I know a guy, and so now I want to be the Redskins. It was just close enough. It's adjacent to it. That's why we got that name. Okay? So there's that. Next season, 500 again. But
you just solved the entire history that people have been arguing over. It's yep. Dumb and dead.
Yeah, it's on a documentary. It's on the Wikipedia page. This is numerous locations. It's Literally, that's the history behind the name.
History.
Yeah. Next season, another 500 season. But a historic moment, the first ever 200-yard rusher in NFL history in a single game. Cliff Battles, who was a dog, KDot. As you read more about Cliff Battles, oh my God, this guy was incredible.
Name.
Whew, and a great name. So anyway, 1936, they end up losing a championship game to New York. It's Boston, once again, Boston Redskins at this time. George Preston Marshall, he's got a newspaper, and girls hockey, high school girls hockey's on there. And they're like, you know what? Screw this. Screw Boston. I'm from DC. Corinne Griffith, his wife, is like, you should move to DC, babe. And so like all this happens, and they end up moving to DC. And a couple things there. So they move to DC, and then they convince TCU sensation Sammy Baugh to join the team. And in their first ever season in DC, champions beat the Chicago Bears 28-21. After the season, Cliff Battles goes, you know what? I'm making $3,000 a year. I would like to make $250 more, please. George Preston Marshall goes, respectfully, go fuck yourself, but thank you for everything you did. And Cliff Battles retires immediately. That is the last game he ever played. Sick. Okay, so now we're on to 1940. And after a couple solid seasons, the Bears this time beat the living shit out of us. The score, you may know it, 73-0 in the championship game. Still the largest margin of what I'm calling ass whooping in NFL history. So that's a stat. A couple years later, we get our revenge on the Bears, win a championship against them, winning 14-6 this time. And then the very next year, the Bears again. So we have some history with the Bears losing 41-21. This is also the season Sammy Baugh led the league in passing, punting, and interceptions. I believe he even had a game where he had 4 passing touchdowns and 4 interceptions against the Detroit Lions.
Goat.
Nuts. Absolute dog. 1945, then we're going to take a break to let KDot interject with anything he'd like to. 1945, some absolutely wild shit happened. All right, so we're in the championship game against the Cleveland Browns. Sammy Baugh drops back, throws the ball, hits the goalpost. Remember, the goalposts were at the front of the end zone at this time. That's ruled a safety. So we actually give up 2 points there. And the final score, 15-14 Cleveland. We lost by a point. Immediately in the offseason, that rule gets changed, thanks to George Preston Marshall and Sammy Baugh, to an incomplete pass. Moving forward, if you hit the goalpost on a forward pass, it's just incomplete. Plays dead, nothing. We would have won if that rule were in place, known as the Baugh-Marshall rule. That is the end of the 1945 season. KDot, over to you before we go to a very dark 1946 to 1971.
Yeah, I'm thinking about what's happening in America at that time, too. Probably not a good time to be a guy like me. But I just learning and everything. I'm wondering through the parallels and just running through everything. There's one thing that stood out to me among all other things that you said in this period of time, which is that in the 1930s and 1940s, you had a guy like George Preston Marshall actually ask his wife for input on what they should do. You should learn from that. Asking women what it is they think is a good idea and something to live by. And as much as George Preston Marshall, we'll get into more of them, sure. But,
we will.
It's just it's strange how every once in a while a person that problematic can still teach Amit some lessons.
On the subject of Corinne Griffith, his wife, she wrote the lyrics to Hail to the Redskins, which would then be performed by the marching band. Modern day, only 2 marching bands, us, Baltimore Ravens, but we were the first ever marching band. Hail to the Redskins, the song, the iconic song. And we'll get to that also later on.
Got to.
Okay, so 1946 to 1971, we had like 1 winning season. Just going to keep it a buck. So we had a coach named Ray Flaherty, who was actually pretty solid from 1936 to 1942. And George Preston Marshall at this point goes, you know what would be sick? If I had a bunch of yes men all over the place and I hired former players and they were just like, dude, thanks so much for the job. And I could sort of control things, dabble. We're well familiar with that in the form of Yacht Bitch. But George Preston got on to an electric start come 1946, okay? We would not make another championship game, now known as the Super Bowl. They literally changed the name to the Super Bowl until 1972. So this is just brutal. But some important things did happen. One, in 1944, he had a radio broadcast that broadcasted games throughout the South. We were this team of the South because of this, because there was no other team in the South. And the third thing, which was a TV deal with Amico to broadcast games in the South. So now all of a sudden, we're the team of the South.
There's a fourth thing.
What's the fourth thing?
In the song itself, fight for old Dixie, baby.
We're going to get there.
Also, I shouldn't be saying that into a microphone.
But you did. And I'm glad it was you, not me. And it was Fight for Old DC for quite a while. We'll explain when it changed to Dixie, and for a very short time, by the way. We'll explain that in just a moment. Kind of. So a major reason for this identity, team of the South, is because, once again, we were the only team south of the Mason-Dixon line. The NFL begins to go, hey, we're profitable. Things are going well, in large part actually due to these TV and radio deals that the Redskins had. Right, this is the first time we got Redskins. Yeah, that they had at that time, because revenues were beginning to explode. Other owners are going, oh, cool, we should do something like this as well. So now you're really getting into the marketing elements of it. And the NFL goes, you know what, Texas, huge market. It would be awesome to have a team over there. So 1958 arrives, and George Preston Marshall's going, fuck no, absolutely not. That's my territory. No chance in hell you're getting this. And then you got a guy named, and you said his name before we started recording. KDot, his name, please.
Clint Murchison.
Clint Murchison. You got it. He was the potential owner trying to bring a team to Dallas. And so what does he do? He buys the rights to Hail to the Redskins from the composer, Barney Breeskin. Okay. And so now we can't legally play the song. So he trades the rights to the song back to George Preston Marshall, who goes, fine, you bitch. Here you go. I'll vote in favor of this. Okay. So Dallas gets their franchise. That's the Dallas Cowboys. And the moment we get the song back, he changes the lyrics from Fight for Old DC to Fight for Old Dixie in an effort to keep the South and to let them know, hey, we are still your team. I don't care about this Dallas franchise. So that's how that line changed, KDot, which is very interesting.
That is actually, I did not know that fact. I didn't know that one.
Just here to
I thought it was always Fight for Dixie.
Not always. Nope. It was Fight for Old DC for a while. And then in 1958,
it sounds like he really cared about his wife.
Big time. They did divorce. This had a direct impact on us being, she was married 4 times. On the they all have Wikipedia pages. This
and
had
she's probably at the all 4 of those guys are probably very successful.
If we
you
just
should listen to women.
If we just did an episode on Corinne Griffith, we might find that to be the case. Anyway, so this had a direct impact on us also being, and we were talking about it being dark, the last team to integrate in the NFL.
Yep.
Okay. So we were like, nope. We represent interests in the South. We are the white team. There are protests. They're like, do not have black players on the Washington Redskins. This is our team, right? And so once again, with this Dallas thing happening too, George Preston Marshall is like, man, we need to do anything and everything we can to maintain our identity as the team of the South, including not integrating. At the same time, we want a new stadium. And so we, of course, go for federal funding. And we're like, hey, we want one. And everyone's like, great, we'll give you DC Stadium. We'll start building it. It's going to be awesome. Oh, by the way, stadium's built. You can't use it. And he's like, why not? It's like, well, because with federal funding comes federal rules. And with federal rules, there are anti-discriminatory laws in place. So if you want this shiny new stadium, all you have to do is integrate. And so George Preston Marshall, really pissed off, integrates. And so that's how we ended up integrating. It was to be able to use the stadium. We did get to use it for 1 year, but they did threaten to take it away after the second season. So he, entering the second season, ends up integrating the team, drafting a black player first overall in Ernie Davis. He was a running back. Okay. Now, the thing is, people talk, and Ernie Davis goes, no chance in hell am I playing for this team. So he goes, trade me. George Preston Marshall goes, with fucking pleasure. So he trades him. But he trades him for Bobby Mitchell, who ends up being an absolute legend and future Hall of Famer. So Cleveland Browns get Ernie Davis. We get Bobby Mitchell and other black players that end up joining later on in the 60s. So that was 1961 to 62. Later on, Charlie Taylor and Larry Brown, who are 2 of the more famous names Charlie Taylor, just a quick shout out to him, rookie of the year in 1964 as a running back, finished top 10 in rushing and receiving that season before becoming a full-time wide receiver and then just leading the league in receiving yards in 1966 and 1967. So that guy, great. Ends up playing in a championship game, now called the Super Bowl at this point, where we lose to the undefeated Dolphins in 1972. Pretty famous team over there. But ends up winning some Super Bowls as a coach, as a wide receivers coach later on. And Larry Brown, fascinating story here. Brought in by Vince Lombardi, who only coached us for a season because he tragically passes away due to cancer. But Vince Lombardi saw something in Larry Brown. He's like, hey, this guy's good. And he was primarily blocking in college, but he goes, I think this guy's going to be really, really good. Problem is, he's a bit slow to react off of the snaps. So they're like, the fuck is going on? Like, he seems to just be reacting to the offensive lineman moving. What's going on there? And they find out, Vince runs some tests. Okay, basically deaf in 1 year. So they end up getting a helmet that has a hearing aid in it. Turns out this guy's incredible. If you could just hear things.
Here.
Unbelievable player in Larry Brown. So shout out to him. KDot, brief break. Over to you. Your thoughts so far.
Yeah, just trying to provide some. So like, I know a lot of the Redskins history through like urban legends, almost like campfire stories, right? Or old VHS tapes from stories that people didn't vet because it just existed.
Yeah.
But I think it's really interesting as far as looking at the history of the team around that Cowboys incident with the Hail to the Redskins song and everything. And another reason why, if you're looking at it from a historical standpoint, a lot of people wonder why it is that there's so many Dallas Cowboys fans in the metropolitan area. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of them just had mommies and daddies that didn't tell them I love you enough, so they're attention whores.
Right.
But there are some deep-seated in the sense of when the Cowboys came to be, there wasn't really any talk about them not having a problem as far as from a segregation standpoint. So they had black players on their team earlier on than the Redskins did, of course, since we were the last team to integrate. And with that came a lot of people in this area who were black that looked at our team and said, you know what? Who's the bitter enemy and rival now of the fucking Redskins? Cowboys, sign me the fuck up. So it makes sense to a certain degree.
Make sense.
As far as when you see some of that rift as far as that goes. And another fun fact, one of the two major people that put pressure on George Preston Marshall as far as the stadium and the integration thing was the attorney general at the time, which was Robert F. Kennedy, RFK Jr.'s daddy, Bobby Kennedy, who the fucking stadium's named after. Now, the thing is, what's also a fun fact, Bobby Mitchell, the first black player for the Redskins, he and the Kennedy family were like this. Bobby actually got depressed as hell for years because he was supposed to be with RFK when he went out to California to give that speech where he died, where he was assassinated. Bobby held a lot of guilt, saying that if he was there with him, he didn't think it would have happened. It's just crazy how some of this shit just kind of turns out.
Damn. Okay. Well, that one I did not know. So I appreciate you supplementing that with a fun fact. That's
right. It's not that fun.
That sucks, but it's a fact.
It's a fact.
It's a fact. What's also a fact is that I would be remiss if I didn't mention Sonny Jurgensen being traded to us.
Absolutely.
He was a first-team All-Pro with the Philadelphia Eagles, and then 3 years later gets traded to us in 1964, and didn't have a whole lot of like success in terms of championships with us, but he was fantastic. I mean, the offense was awesome. The defense was atrocious for years and years and years. The offense would even say, how many points do we need to put up to win a game over here? Sonny, fan favorite all the way through, awesome player. And there was a bit of a change, though, because when George Preston Marshall, who had an illness and passes away, gives daily team operations to team president at the time, Edward Bennett Williams, we end up getting Vince Lombardi for that one season. After that, the next full-time hire is George Allen, who is a brilliant, brilliant coach in the 70s. He's known for the over-the-hill gang because he trades fuck them draft picks. He trades 7 of them, plus a linebacker to his prior team, the LA Rams, to get his guys in. 6 of them, all veterans. He didn't trust rookies. He trusted these veterans to make plays. And honestly, KDot, during this time, team was doing pretty well. I mean, excuse me, we got 5 different playoff appearances. We beat Dallas 26-3 in the NFC Championship game before losing to the Miami Dolphins. George Allen was a pretty successful coach considering the dark period we just came through, right? Yeah. You think about it being a Skins fan at that time. It's like, thank goodness for this guy. However, love defense, love special teams. Offense was like, don't fuck it up for these two units. Sonny was a bit of a gunslinger. So there was a clash there. And so it was actually Billy Kilmer who ended up playing a heck of a lot more because he was the safer, more of a mind meld with George Allen. And so there was a split amongst fans. Do you want Billy Kilmer or do you want Sonny Jurgensen? The good news is that Billy and Sonny were really close friends. So they did not let it affect the team chemistry. They easily could have. Easily. And then 4 of the 5 appearances in the playoffs resulted in one and done. So a lot of people thought there was just a lot of burnout from the motivation of the season, the type of plays that we had and the type of playing style that we had. And so that ultimately results in George Allen being ousted. But I would not call it an unsuccessful period. Like it was, I think, very good, especially off of the 25 years that we had. KDot. George Allen is certainly a name, and we know Bruce Allen, of course, later on. But George Allen certainly a name to be revered within Redskins team history. He did steady the ship for sure.
Yeah, if we're talking about coaches that are probably the most consequential to the history of the franchise, I'd put George Allen probably right behind Joe Gibbs. In the sense of even what it is that people think of when they think about our football team, and in the sense of just like you think about the Bergen Eagle, you think about it's the George Allen years you're really thinking about when you think about the classic days of the Redskins, like pre-Joe Gibbs era. Sammy Ball, it's all black and white fucking video. And then Vince, we killed him after a year. So it's like.
We did.
Yeah, so you have the George Allen. And the other thing that George Allen did was, as far as the rivalry with the Cowboys, I mean,
big time
happened. He was a huge person in the rivalry. He was the guy that was almost paranoid, convinced everybody that the Cowboys were recording practices. He also sent cameras out to make sure that they were recording Cowboy practices, and would just. Like when you hear teams talk about like they took the playbook away from the players in training camp when they knew they were going to cut stuff, a lot of that shit is based on what George Allen did around his paranoia and trying to get the buy-in or the build or the meld of the team itself. So I always George Allen's and when hip hip hooray, baby! Like that's George Allen, like he's the guy.
Three cheers for the Redskins, hip hip hooray! Yep.
He is a guy that like, if there's something you want to go back on and look at an era that you can just feel good about the team, I guess to some degree, I'd really tell you to look at that era. Everybody knows about the Gibbs days. We're getting there. But the George Allen days, I think it's a shame they never won a Super Bowl. Because if they did, I think people would talk about him a lot more than they did.
And the level of pride that people had, especially playing the Cowboys. So like you said, like Joe Theismann mentioned it. He was like, I learned to absolutely hate everything about the Dallas Cowboys, the star, the colors, the players. You hear people yelling, die Dallas, die. Like they were all bought in, and these were very emotionally charged games and wins. Later on, Rick Doc Walker, who's on the teams in the 80s, is talking about, hey man, like when you played the Super Bowl pales in comparison to playing a Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs and whooping their ass. Right. So like George Allen did a masterful job making that the case early on in Dallas's history as well. So shout out to George Allen. Something that's happening in the meanwhile, this is before George Allen gets fired, is that Jack Kent Cooke buys majority interest in the team in 1974. Thing is, he can't really do anything because he, according to league rules, can't. He owns the LA Lakers and the LA Kings. So he ends up selling his stake over there to Jerry Buss in 1979, and now he's allowed to take over. And what does he do after George Allen, after Jack Party? It's Joe Gibbs, San Diego offensive coordinator, who brings in that, and you've heard it before if you've been with us for a long time, that Air Coryell offense from Don Coryell. We're talking air raid from the skies, KDot. We are just throwing this ball vertically all over the place. Okay, we got Joe Theismann, who's like, dude, I just had George Allen. I just had Jack Party. These are defensive guys. Now I got Joe Gibbs. And you know what we did? We led the league in passing. We led the league in touchdowns and passing yards. And we started 0-5. So we were like, okay, maybe not just throwing the ball. And so one of the funny stories over here is that before this season, Joe Gibbs goes, okay, well, I do need a running back just in case. And it's John Riggins, who currently is in a contract dispute with the team because they gave him $300K a year. They were like, hey, can we renegotiate that? He's like, go fuck yourself. And then they were like, all right, fine. And he's like, all right, I'm leaving. So he's hunting with a friend of his, and Joe Gibbs goes over to his ranch. And Joe immediately, when John is talking, is like, this guy's an egomaniac. This man is a psycho. So when he agrees to come back, and John did, he's like, I'm going to trade him. I'm going to trade him. And as they concluded the conversation, John said, I just want one condition for me to come back. And Joe's like, all right, what is it? Knowing full well he's going to trade him. He's like, it doesn't matter. I'll agree to anything. It was a no trade clause. and so now Joe's like, well, fuck. Like, now I'm stuck with this guy. And thank goodness he is with the guy that declared, I'm bored, I'm broke, and I'm back. With John Riggins, because we start running the ball a hell of a lot more after starting 0-5. It was John Riggins. It was Joe Washington, who's sort of your first pass catching back out of the backfield and could run the damn ball too. So that two-headed monster, we end up finishing 8-8. So we started 0-5, we finish 8-8, and we carry that momentum into what ends up being a very historic 1982-83 season, KDot. So that is the foundation that first year with Joe Gibbs. From Eric Coryell, we still got the principles to, okay, but we know we want to run the ball, and the development of the Hogs over the course of the 80s as well.
No, two things. Number one, my favorite Redskin commander of all time is John Riggins. That's the guy's tape that I love to watch more than any other tape. But my favorite part about the interaction with him and Joe is two things that happen in the interaction. Number one, Riggins tells Joe, I'm going to make you famous.
He does.
and Joe's response to that, and there's video of him saying this, which is just great. He's like, he looks at this guy, and the only word that comes into his head is, this dude's a fruitcake.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to trade that fruitcake.
It's some of my favorite shit. Because if you know Joe, godly man, fairly quiet, and then John, it's a movie. It's a fucking movie. All right, it's a movie. They should make a movie. And then Jack Can't Cook, I don't know how much you're going to talk about Jack as we go on, but the moment you mentioned him, he's the guy that we had the most success with, of course. But my favorite thing about Jack Can't Cook is a story that comes out a little later on in this history. But Jack's known for getting married 5 times, technically 4 different women, 2 times to the last woman. But one of my favorite things, and you can look in the Washington Post archives about this shit, and the news reports, I think it's still on YouTube. Cook married his 4th wife, Blah. They divorced in late 1993 after she made headlines in September by driving drunk in Georgetown, section of Washington, D.C., with a man holding onto the hood and pounding on the windshield of her car. They remarried in 95 and remained together until his death. It's my look. I'm sorry. If you're an older, please. I know there were so many stories about Cook and what was going on with his wives and everything was happening with the team. There's some amazing stories in the Jack Can't Cook era.
All right. Well, I did not know that one, so I appreciate you chiming in with that, KDot. Over to the 1982-83 season. This is a shortened season due to a player strike. And so we go from 16 games to the 9 games, and it ends up being a pretty large playoff. I can't remember the number of teams exactly. It might have been 16 or something like that. It was crazy. Yeah. And they end up seeding them 1 through 8 based on the shortened season. This is the Mark Mosley season, who is the legendary kicker, the only kicker to be league MVP, and I doubt we're going to see another one the way everything's going.
I hope not.
Yeah, we better hope not. But he just won game after game after game. And there's a win and in with the New York Giants. His 21st consecutive made field goal sends us to the playoffs, beats the New York Giants. And from there, that crazy hunter himself, John Riggins, takes over. And I mean, oh my God. We're talking about a 4-game stretch where he amassed over 600 yards on the ground, including that famous play, 70 chip on 4th and short that resulted in a 43-yard touchdown run against the Miami Dolphins, and the Washington Redskins became Super Bowl champions for the first time in Super Bowl 17, winning 27-17 with Joe Theismann being the quarterback for this one. It also included 185 yards on the ground against the Minnesota Vikings and bowing to everybody at the stadium. saying, I'm that dude, and thank you for being here. Electric season, KDot. From Mark Mosley taking us to the playoffs to John Riggins going, I'll take it from here. Thank you very much. Give me the ball 30 times a game and just hit your wagon. I'll take you there.
It's one of my favorite things. It's John goes in, talks to Joe Bugle. Everybody knows Joe Bugle. He was an all-line coach.
O-line coach, yep.
It's like apparently all the Hogs, everybody knew because John didn't talk much when they were out there doing like he was the 5 o'clock club, whatever, and all that kind of shit. But and they said he just said before the playoff, he's like, "All right, coach, I'm ready. Just give me the ball. Just give me the ball." Just like and everybody says, "Yeah, just give him the ball." Like this, just give it to him. Like it's John. He says he's ready. Just give it to him. The thing I love most about John Riggins in that playoff, this is what makes him my favorite player of all time for our team. He is the pure definition of put the team on my back. I'm taking you to the promised land. Saquon went on that legendary run last year, and everybody's going to talk about that for decades to come. He still couldn't touch what John Riggins did on his run. He couldn't get there. Riggins was that fucking dude. And what's great about watching this tape, what's amazing about watching it is some of the most unsexy film you will ever watch. 3.5 yards here, 4 yards here, just chug it. And you can tell over the course of the game, if you get a chance to watch it, you just see a defense just be like, "Dog, we got to keep tackling this motherfucker." Like
he's breaking their will. It's what people think of Jerome Bettis as. Like that was Rigo on steroids.
I'm gonna keep going. You're gonna break down, and then when you get fourth quarter 70 chip, fuck you to the house. Crown me. Fucking love Rigo. Also makes great sausages. He was great. You can find him at Hard Times, I think, still.
The 1983 season, fireworks galore. We go 14-2. We are humming. And we actually get back to the Super Bowl, but this time against the Los Angeles Raiders, we lose a resounding 38-9, which obviously sucks. In 1985, right after that, unfortunately, we lose Joe Theismann to that horrific leg injury. So his career is over now, and he moves to broadcasting. And so we end up drafting Mark Rippon in 1986. He ends up featuring later on. But 1987, another player strike took place. So honestly, if you want another Super Bowl, maybe hope for a player strike. We seem to do awfully well in those seasons. So there's a 24-day strike.
About that.
And they did, KDot, because there was a 3-game stretch where we used all replacement players. We won those games, and that was instrumental in us making the playoffs. And when you get to Super Bowl 22 and you got number 17 quarterback in you in a second quarter that's going to go down as just legendary, 9 of 11, 228 yards, 4 touchdowns. Doug Williams, MVP. And also so good that you just end up going, oh, shout out the rookie running back Timmy Smith that had 240 rushing yards. Like, that's just a footnote. That's how good Doug Williams was as we win our second Super Bowl in, 4 years. Unbelievable performance. That is going to be a hard quarter for anyone to top ever, KDot, as we win our second Super Bowl. Smoking the Denver Broncos 42-10.
No fucking doubt. But what it meant symbolically, it's Doug Williams. Like anybody, look, man, I still remember the narrative about black quarterbacks. Shit, some narratives about black quarterbacks that still exist today. But I still remember, I remember very vividly the Donovan McNabb bullshit and everything that happened as far as Mike Vick, which I won't go into too many detail. Some of the guys, Cam Newton even experienced some of this shit. But what it meant to see Doug Williams have that sort of game on the biggest stage ever, and what it meant to a lot of kids around America that played that position, could be looked upon seriously to play that position. It's absolutely incredible. You talk about a dude that I think a lot of people it's Doug Williams, like whatever, like and then he does that. You saw about one-hit wonders, him and Timmy Smith, but motherfucker. Like, Timmy Smith is one of those. There are a couple running backs. Like, trivia question, if you're in DC on a bar night, is you like, name the 3 quarterbacks that Joe Gibbs won in the Super Bowl. But a good trivia question, name the 3 starting running backs to play for those guys. Because I'm telling you, one hit, one down. A lot of that shit, but it was good. It's good shit.
No, absolutely incredible performance from him. Jump over to 1991. This time, we're quarterbacked by Mark Rippon. And of course, I would be remiss. Doug Williams was the first African-American quarterback to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people already knew that, but now you do, in case you didn't. Yeah. So 91.
For the racist ass team that we were.
Stuff
Crazy
sort of
shit.
works. Like, it's crazy. Like, going through history, you're like, man, it really is random sometimes. Like, karma maybe doesn't exist. Like, it's crazy. But anyway, 1991. Well, Ernie Davis, who got traded because he's like, I won't play for that team. He died of leukemia later that year. He never played a down of football.
The Express. He was Ernie Davis was, if you don't know the Ernie Davis story, which is a hell of a story, Ernie Davis was a running back that also went to Syracuse University. Syracuse is also where Jim Brown went. And everybody, they all say the same thing. He was better than Jim. Like, Jim says, he was better than me.
And a lot of people revere Jim as the best running back ever.
I still think he's the best running back.
Barry Sanders' dad thinks Jim Brown is the best running back
all the time. It's like we had debates about it. Watch the tape. Like, he's the best running back of all time. But this is what Ernie Davis was, and that's the level of George Preston Marshall was a prick.
Back to fun.
Although
history.
he did listen to his wife. Amit.
1991. I'm not married, KDot. 1991 was our
women. Amit.
1991 was our next Super Bowl winning season. And this time we were quarterbacked by Mark Rippon. And so we started 11-0 on the season. Mark Rippon's playing great. We have the Posse, which is a trio of wide receivers, Gary Clark, Art Monk, and Ricky Sanders. And these guys wreaked havoc on the league. Super Bowl 26, the win over the Buffalo Bills, 37-24. Art Monk, I believe, had 7 catches for 103 yards, and Gary Clark, another 7 catches for 104 yards, something like that. Maybe it was 114, 113, respectively. But they were excellent. That's Super Bowl 26. So 3 Super Bowls, 3 different quarterbacks over the course of that 8-9 year stretch there, which that's when we talk about the identity of the team. We talk about running the ball, and we talk about, hey, you could plug and play at quarterback, and the idea is there. It comes from the team history. And that's what we wanted to illustrate over here with that. Before the 1993 season, so just a year after winning, Joe Gibbs retires. He ends up pursuing, NASCAR racing. He's got his racing crew. Norv Turner becomes the coach. Fast forward a few years, Dan Snyder buys the team in 1999. All hell breaks loose. I'm honestly just not going to get into it because it's just such a fucking dark time, and we know about it. We had an episode celebrating the sale of the team until Josh Harris bought it in 2023. Shout out Sean Taylor during this period. Rest in peace. Absolute legend and icon here in the DMV area. And fuck Albert Hainsworth. And that is your team history as narrated by Amit, with very many fun facts by KDot. And I got a couple more fun facts after this, but KDot, over to you.
Shout out to Mark Rippon's daughter, Angela Rippon, who's a hell of a quarterback in the lingerie football league. Beyond that, I watched. I'm wondering whether or not we need to give him a Snyder cut of this here podcast where we just go over the Snyder.
I literally couldn't bring myself to do it. I was like, okay, we're at this point. I was like, I'm probably going to go a bit longer. We're already at 38 minutes. And I was like, yo, fuck that guy. There's just nothing that I want to say about that. It was just horrible.
Sometimes reliving trauma can be a good thing if you do it in a safe context. I just think that we got a safe space. But bravo, sir. Long awaited. Thank you very much. I'm glad that you went through all of it. It's a hell of a job. I know if I were to do it, I would have just thrown that bitch into AI and be like, what'd you think? Give me a script. But you did an amazing job. Thank you. Kept it very informative. It wasn't boring. I don't think anybody can go to sleep with that one. I'll just tell you like that. I really, really enjoyed it.
What about cursing there?
Yeah, I love that we got proper context of just what it is the team, and what it means as far as this fan base and the philosophies that we have and why they exist in the first place are kind of deep rooted in you. It almost feels generational, right? So that's good. Now, also, always love anytime anybody has a story that has a good life lesson, which is like Amit needs to listen to it. It's great.
I also have a couple other fun facts. Just to conclude this section before we start talking about Terry McLaurin.
Give us the fun facts, man.
Fun facts. Have you heard the name Cal Rossi before?
No.
All right. UCLA running back, drafted 9th overall by us in the 1946 NFL draft. Only problem, he was ineligible because he was a junior. So we wasted that draft pick. But good news, we drafted him 4th overall the very next season in the 1947 NFL draft. Turns out no one fucking talked to him because he was like, I don't want to play football. Why'd you do that? So 2 straight first-round picks, KDot, for a guy that never played a down for anyone.
That's your trivia question.
That's
Who got
the trivia
drafted
question.
2 years in a row and never played a goddamn down?
No one asked him. We talked to Sammy. You think you talked to Cal. You think word would get to him, hey, you were drafted as a junior. It's like, oh, man, that's crazy. Like, no one was like, okay, yeah, he doesn't want to play. 9th overall, 4th overall. One guy never played, didn't want to. Insane. And then the other one, which I really enjoyed going through the history of, like, you know, George Preston Marshall being this marketer, this like Jerry Jones type, honestly, where it's like, oh, you know what? So long as we get more market share, more revenue, the wins will take care of themselves. That's the only way you can describe 1946 to the early 70s.
Yeah.
He was very big into marketing and huge in halftime show history. Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things that he does is he has Santa Claus appear every year around Christmas time. And one year in particular, he decided to get a little creative. And he goes, we're going to fly Santa in with a helicopter. All right. And he's just going to land in the center. Now, if you've seen Deadpool 2, when they're on that mission and it's a little bit windy, yeah, it was a little bit of a windy day. Don't worry, the guy survives. But as they launch Santa, drop Santa into the stadium, it's so windy he gets pushed as he deploys his parachute. He lands 2 blocks away on a random rooftop. So he doesn't make it to the stadium. But George Preston Marshall, being the admittedly in this situation smart guy that he was, had a backup Santa. So all of a sudden, a Santa runs in from the stadium and people are like, oh my God, didn't he land like 2 blocks away? How the hell did he make it over here? It's just a different Santa. But one of the funniest stories I'd ever heard, they had a substitute Santa just in case the other guy didn't make it. Oh my God, so good.
I think the way I'd sum up our history for the most part, because I don't know if there's this tier list that's been going around about like NFL franchises.
Mm-hmm.
It's like God level, I think is like what is it, like the Patriots and the Steelers or some shit.
Yeah.
And then it goes all the way through, and it's like the Commanders are in the had a few good runs, like sort of thing. Look, if you do look at majority of our history, I will say I don't love the level at which you smile every time you say George Preston Marshall's name. It's almost like you respect him from a business standpoint, and I don't love it. But it always happens this way, right?
He's just an instrumental part of how we became what we became.
Men in their 30s and 40s start getting into history. They start watching Fox News. I'm just saying, be careful. Be careful. We've had terrible owners for the majority of the history of this franchise.
We have.
I think people need to understand. Jack Can't Cook was a prick in a lot of ways too. That's your guy. Like everybody else up until this point with Josh Harris has sort of sucked. And it's sort of like when people talk about the name change, like, how dare we sully ourselves with the name that Dan Snyder gave us? Like, do you want to sully yourself with the name that George Preston Marshall gave you too? Like, I don't want any problem. Like, we've been problematic, dog. Like, we've been a problematic team. And I love it. I gotta dig it.
It's our history.
That's
what it is. That's what
America.
it is. So, yeah, that's the.
We are America's team.
We are, and he worked very, very hard to try and make sure Dallas wasn't. it didn't work out.
But that George Allen period in the 60s is a lot of what George
70s.
Allen's doing. 70s is a lot of what George Allen's doing is. A lot of what George Allen's doing is in response to what is also happening as far as the coverage of the NFL. This is the era of NFL films and Steve Sable and all, and they loved to glaze them goddamn Cowboys. All right, Roger Staubach, All-American kid, Navy, blah 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 blah. Fuck them. Like we are America's team. Rich, terrible, racist history. Reclamate, trying to be better, you know, most of the time kind of suck. Then we have your fireworks every once in a while, right? And we love good war. We love war with the Cowboy. We love war. And we're the nation's capital. It makes sense. When you hear the history, it makes sense. We are America's team.
We were forced into positive change. It was certainly against the will of ownership.
Yes.
And so when you go, oh, okay, they did it. It's like, well, did they? You know, like there's that. So anyway, that's the team history. On to contemporary news, contemporary players. A player that needs to be fucking signed. And I'm still not worried, just to be clear. But Terry McLaurin.
Like you're a little more into it.
I had too much coffee today. That's where we're at. And I just did 45 minutes on the team history. Okay. So that's where we're at. Terry McLaurin still remains unsigned. It is currently at a situation where, because it is the sports dead period, as in training camp doesn't start for another couple of weeks over here, people don't report. The rookies don't report until July 18th, and the veterans do not report until July 22nd. When you listen to NFL insiders, when you listen to our own local media over here, who are insiders, of course, even better ones, they're saying, hey, these guys are currently at an impasse. They're not going to pick up talks until closer to training camp time, which means we've got about at least 10 days here where there's not going to be a deal. And so now rumors are beginning to spread. Is Terry going to sign a long-term deal here? Well, why did we trade for Debo? Oh, what about the New England Patriots? They desperately want somebody. And Mike Vrabel knows Terry McLaurin from the Ohio State days because Mike Vrabel was a coach there and loves Terry McLaurin. So all this is going to happen. Just a heads up, it's going to continue to happen for another 10 days, 2 weeks. I still think this gets done before training camp. But KDot, over to you. I've done a whole lot of talking this episode. Your thoughts on Terry McLaurin and this situation right now?
I have none. Back to you. No, I'm joking.
That would have been such a dick move.
Look, I think the story or the IG story or whatever that was on Terry's where he's I don't know where the fuck that was. Looks like Mediterranean coast, something. I was looking at Greece or Amalfi Coast, something like that. Look like the man's having a good time. All I've seen is the last couple days is that I saw Magic Johnson totally flexing that fucking yacht. Did you see that?
I didn't.
Magic Johnson just running on a treadmill. And then it zooms out. It's a drone shot. And there's like $100 million yacht. He's by himself. Like he's in the
That's
ocean.
amazing.
It's like, all right, the guys are just, it's vacation time, apparently. Look, if there was any player that I'm okay with to a certain degree, this thing being about, it would be Terry because I know he ain't going to do shit stupidly. Be honest stuff. I also know that this is not a distraction in the sense of the time frame that's happening. It ain't like we got a lot of our guys out there having to answer questions about this particular situation. We'll see what happens when training camp comes. We're in this once again this dead period, right? So I wouldn't say this has not reached a point where it's a distraction. It's something to talk about, and I think majority of people that do Commanders content are happy. With all that being said, get the fucking deal done. Because, like, I will not be okay until the deal's done. And that's just what it comes down to. Like, I need to know the outcome of this particular thing. Terry means that much to us. When you look through, like, even if you look at the thumbnail here on this video and you see, I had to hand select all the players that I wanted to have over the history of this franchise. And when I finished it, the amount of anger I had at myself that I had not put Terry McLaurin on his goddamn, he means that much, man. He's the guy. He's the dude that we've looked to these last few years, the only beacon of anything. And I want him to get paid. I want him to get paid. That's what I want. Fuck all. He deserves payment. Give it to him. Give him he deserves himself to feel, you know what? I feel good. I feel good that I'm going to come back here. I feel good that this is where my career is going to. I think he deserves that. And that's all.
This is a commander for life situation.
Right.
Some with most 99% of player contract situations, it is like, okay, I get it. You need to make sure that you're balancing the books. You need to make sure that you're getting fair prices, stuff like that. This is the exception. I think that you and I are in agreement there that, like, hey, if you end up overpaying this guy, no one's going to be like, oh my God, like, are you kidding? This much for Terry? Like, he continues to exemplify what it means to be a commander. So from the locker room standpoint, he is your guy. Mm-hmm. 2, he can weather any storm. He has shown you he can do that. He will continue to show you he can do that. And he got drafted in 2019. So he's still, I get his age right now, but in terms of NFL years, young. And so I understand him holding out for more money or maybe that extra year. Just get it done. And I think we will. And I also say at this point, because of how long this is dragged out, I am now in the territory where I don't think there's another option other than to fucking sign him.
So like, I'm not of the, if this was something that you guys were going to play hardball on or whatever, or you knew that like this was going to be the impasse, I would have loved to move on from this a long time ago. In all honesty, I would have loved to have some draft compensation going into this last draft. I would have liked to have either some more players. If Terry's not here on this team, I don't like our wide receiver room. I can tell you that outright. So like, even with the Debo trade, I don't fucking like that at all. So like, just get the job done. Just get it done. Just do it. Just do it. Just fucking do it.
Yeah, just get it done. I think we will actually take a moment to talk about the NFC Championship game in a moment. But right now, let's go ahead and talk about the other piece of news, which is that we will end up with an alternate set of uniforms. Now, they did tease this out, and you might even be able to tell from this one that there is a little bit of a faint W over there. So it looks like the helmet's going to end up staying the same as what people are speculating. Yeah. But nonetheless, exciting opportunity to be able to get back to the color scheme and make it feel like the old uniforms. KDot, your thoughts on the news? It dropping July 9th, which once again, that's the day that this franchise was founded.
I want to see something fresh and something I like. That's all it boils down to at this point. It's not to me like, all right, I have this, like I said last week, it's not this grand, like, hey, I need us to have X uniform from this year because I'm not going to be a fan unless I get this back. Not there. I just want something I like. Like right now, it's the white uniforms. Still don't like them. Black uniforms, I think they're cool. Just doesn't feel like us yet. Not enough things have happened for us yet in those. And then the burgundy uniforms is like, that kind of looks like what you did in Madden when you'd create a team and you kind of wanted to be watching and remind you about it, but you couldn't do that. Right? It feels like an homage to some degree. So you still get some of the feel because the burgundy's there, but it's like you could do better. Even though I do like it with the gold pants, it's just you could do better. So I did see someone, and I don't know if it's true or not or what have you. I did not check it, and I'm just going to be irresponsible and say shit. I did see somebody, they tried to turn up the brightness or fuck with the colors or whatever other thing.
Yeah.
And burgundy, like it was a gold jersey. And I almost lost my shit. I don't want that.
Well, that my takeaway was I'm so impressed at the internet detectives and sleuthers and the people at, like, we'll find out July 9th. That's where I'm at. Like, all right, cool. They tease something a little bit.
Yeah, true.
We will find out.
Yeah, we gotta calm down.
They will tell us. They will show us, right. And we can react then. But currently, Josh Harris swinging a hot bat, so I'm going to continue to have faith in him that this is going to go well. But we'll see. We'll see if it ends up being a gold jersey or burgundy, or who knows, right? But
I just don't want the old gold.
I don't think that's what it's going to be.
I don't need the color rush.
I truly don't think that's what it's going to be. Let's quickly touch on the NFC Championship game,
please,
because
you're a masochist.
I'm a masochist. Yes. And I decided to go ahead and on like a Tuesday, I had a soccer game. It got canceled because of either heat or a thunderstorm. So I was like,
why not feel bad?
Let me feel terrible. So let me go ahead and watch this thing. And also, KDot, that was the first time I watched it with the broadcast. Like I could hear it because last time I was at Walters. So right. I hadn't actually heard or really felt the game, I noticed, until I was yelling at the TV like the game was live. Like we would convert on third down. I'd be like, bang, there you go. Like, I was fired up for it. And what I noticed was, oh my God, we were so physically outmatched in that game, especially on the offensive side of the ball and defensive side of the ball. That A.J. Brown block on Dante Fowler, that was inexcusable from Dante. But to make the thoughts a little bit more clear, my very first takeaway was, oh my God, this offensive line is a tragedy. Like these guys got to Jaden just about any time they wanted to. Jaden initially understandably started jittery. And also they were in his face. The very first play, they're in his face immediately. It's like, I literally said, Jesus Christ. I was like, this is insane. The other takeaway, back to Terry, he is the only guy that can make a play. So we had one playmaker. Everybody else was like, catch it, go down. And if you didn't, you're fumbling like De'Ami Brown, right? It was just go down, please. Zach Ertz was one of those guys. He'd catch it, he goes down. But it felt so hard to move the ball on these guys outside of Terry, who they did a great job on, that I literally, one word came to mind, Debo. And I was like, I now understand why we did that. Watching how physically overmatched we were and just needing a guy that's been there and is able to run somebody over in a big moment. Debo does that. And so I now understand why we made the move, made me even more excited for the move. But the move that I was most excited for was Laramie Tunsil. Because watching that, I was just like, and Trent Scott, God bless him, he did his best. Chris Paul actually did okay. But like, it was so difficult to watch our franchise quarterback basically run for his life and somehow still look like our best player and composed as the game progressed. But it screamed out the moves we made. So as I finished watching the game, I was actually excited and so proud of our front office because I think we made the right moves, KDot. We got a lot more physically imposing, and we are now trying to build for that game. Mind you, that was the first cold weather game in the playoffs we played. Tampa was not cold. Yep. Detroit was a dome. Yep. This was a hostile environment, and we need to be able to go. Also, absolutely fuck Jalen Carter. That was such a dirty play on Tyler Biadasz when he pokes him in the eye early, and he's just like, oh man, I just misread that. I know he didn't. That was absolute bullshit, and I cannot wait to get revenge on that guy. Like, I'm just ready for the physical matchups coming up, and I think we've built that physicality this offseason. So I just wanted to mention that. Go ahead.
I just want to see Frankie jump over my lines.
Love him. He was great. Love him.
You know, the NFL teams that have success year after year, you look at what it is they did in the offseason to address what happened in the previous season. You get a lot of teams that almost make it to the Super Bowl or made it to the Super Bowl and lost. The reason that a lot of those teams have a problem getting back is that they think that they have enough to get back to where it is they went to. And that's usually not going to do you any fucking good. For us, I would also say some teams also basically design their entire offseason around who they lost to in the playoffs, in the sense of, hey, everything else is going to be fine. We'll be back to where it is we are. And we just got to address this thing right here. Now, which rare a lot of times, or in situations usually work out, is that not if you have a team that you lost to in the playoffs or in the playoffs that is also a division rival, changes it just a little bit. Right. So it's like you're not looking to just, hey, if we see these motherfuckers in the playoffs, we got them. Okay. Good luck with that. It's if we look through the course of this last season and where it is that we had the most struggles, that's the team. That's the team. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. They are the benchmark. So what do you need to do? We need to beat them. So what do you need to do to beat them? You look at that offensive line, you say, those motherfuckers got bullied. You can absolutely see there's just a strength discrepancy between that defensive line and that offensive line. So they got moved. So what do? You make sure you get the best guy you can find in Laramie Tunsil, and then you also address it in the first round of in the draft. Phenomenal. And on top of that, it serves more than one purpose, right? You're solving an issue that you directly had when it came to the Philadelphia Eagles, and you're also protecting your franchise quarterback.
Yes.
It makes all the sense in the world. And then, of course, yeah, when you talk about the playmaking stuff, that to me was evident all season long, other than like a Austin Eckler few moments, is that Terry McLaurin is the only playmaker that we have. Outside of Jared J. Daniels, you don't want to call
it was just glaring against Philly.
It's glaring, period, all season. When I watch the All-22, it is so aggravating, and especially when it's like, oh shit, early on the season, Luke McCaffrey, just get the ball in his hands. I want to see what he does, right? Just maybe we got a playmaker in that. But it's Deebo Samuel, the Deebo Samuel side, and to me, once again, I also think that Jalen Lane draft pick, those two things together, to me, are a direct, hey, we need guys that could do shit with the fucking football in their hands. Because as of right now, we only got one that we ain't got to worry about. The other guys, we absolutely got to worry about. And I still think Eckler's a dude. I just wonder how many miles he got left.
Yeah. And Eckler, his fumble was, it hurt to watch again. But I still trust him. Like he has been, I think, very good in this league for quite some time. He breaks a number of tackles. Like he actually broke a couple tackles in that game.
He was the best running back on the roster last year.
100%. And that leads me to Bill, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, who we drafted. Watching that game, KDot, we could actually run on them. I get the sense that this coaching staff is betting that the run blocking gets a lot better with the moves that they've made. We will see. But I think that they looked at that game and went, we could actually run on Philly a little bit. And if you're able to, it makes life for Jaden so much easier if we have to go on the road again, right? Right now, the target's Philly in the NFL. They haven't really lost, in my opinion, enough not to be. And they are just a well-rounded, well-oiled machine. You look at their contracts, all these void years and stuff like that. They are gaming the system. They're going to be able to do this for a while. You have to be able to run the ball. And I actually think we were able to. We just didn't have faith to continue doing it.
Well, I think a little bit goes in the game plan, which I think Philadelphia was kind of inviting us to. But the to a certain degree in that game, at least that was my thought process.
Well, then just keep doing it.
So. Fair enough.
That's what I was watching the game. I was like, keep running.
Fair enough, especially early on. But then things got out of whack, and there was no point. Yeah, man. Philadelphia. Look, the only reason I say the Chiefs are my number one on the power ranking is because fuck the Eagles. Because but anybody else with any goddamn sense would say going into this season, who's your favorite? The Eagles. Like even if they got to retool what it is that's happened in the secondary, I don't feel good about the white boys back there, but everybody else does. And CJ Gardner-Johnson, I still think was a net negative compared to net positive as far as that locker room goes. In all honesty, and Darius Slay. Dude, did a good job for you. I understand you got to replace, but next guy up. And they still got enough things that even if you got one, like I look at that Philadelphia team last year and I say, even if the secondary sucked compared to a lot of other things, they still got enough. They could deal with a unit sucking. Like they just don't have that right now.
Last year, there was just zero weakness on that team. It was brutal. I will say this:
all-time team.
When CJ got thrown out, that was a big part of Jaden throwing 5 touchdowns. It was Jalen getting hurt that affects game flow, but CJ Gardner-Johnson got thrown out when they were up, I think, double digits.
I'm not. Once again, I say he's a net negative as far as in the locker room, not on the field. And
on the field,
on the field, he was still a dude. But him being in or out has had a lot to do with what it is we've had as far as success in the air against Philadelphia. No doubt about that. The faith that I see they have in some of the young dudes there, and they popped on the screen at times last year. So, like, if I don't expect some of the young guys to do well in a playoff game in their first playoff run ever, especially in a defensive back position, like I'm not going to base what it is your career is going to go off of it. I still feel once again, I think Philadelphia from top to bottom is still the most complete team. They won the championship. They are the champions. Who the fuck can take them out? Right now, I look at Washington, I see what we're doing. While I do not think under any circumstances we are a team that can fuck with Philadelphia as far as on paper. It's just not there. It's what's the ceiling of Jaden Daniels compared to everything that Philadelphia fucking has? Is he that big a Superman?
I'm beginning to think he might be. And I'm also beginning to think that the offseason moves we made, I think we're damn near perfect having watched that game.
Right. So my thing is, like, when it comes to Philadelphia going into this season, it's not a matter of are we better than them? It's if you played out the scenario 100 times and we're playing them, do we win 15?
Yeah.
Do we win 20? And if that's the case, we're in a good fucking position compared to where it is. We're looking at our quarterback's contract and where it is as far as salary cap and where we are as far as this run. It's a very good sign.
And if Jaden does truly have this clutch gene and it wasn't just, we don't have film on the guy, and I think think he does, boy, we have set ourselves up to be able to be in close games. And that's going to take us a long way if that clutch gene continues to exist. Big if, but we'll see. Any final thoughts here before we move to the comment mailbag?
We're reaching that territory where it's like you start already hearing it because some of the national media are starting to do their rankings. I know Mita Kimes and Ryan Clark just did it. I know you were listening to only half of that podcast, but
no, I've actually got it on my watch later. I'm actually excited to see that one. I was reading about
you
the team
really
history.
Want to see Ryan Clark's portion of it.
No, you're such an ass.
There are certain quarterbacks just because they exist on the team put you in the upper echelon of everything. When you think about the Buffalo Bills, I could talk about all the deficiencies that I see on that Bills team, but who gives a shit? They got Josh Allen, so you got to put them up there. The Cincinnati Bengals, we just saw last season. It was the Cincinnati Bengals. And what is everybody doing this year? Yeah, but they got Joe Burrow, so throw them up there. And Jaden looks like if he has a season like that going, if he has a season anywhere near what he had his rookie season, and I think in some ways a lot of people think he'll exceed them in some ways. If that's the case, we got a dude. We got a dude that anytime that you open up or anytime you open up FanDuel or what have you, you're looking at the preseason prognostication and the odds and who's going to be the Super Bowl. We're there. Times have changed. Okay, you can look back to that entire history that we just talked about as far as this franchise, and I don't think you have anything compared to what it is that we have right here. You can't. I was looking at a list of the greatest Redskins quarterbacks of all time, and in the top 10, Jason Campbell and Gus Frerotte exist.
That speaks to, like, that's how bad.
We got ourselves a dude, and it's the thing. And what I love is that I'm seeing this team says we trust him. He got better over the course of the season and protected himself. Number 2, which is good. Yeah. And we spent an entire offseason addressing everything we could possibly do to help the kid out.
Yeah.
Good job.
Great job. I would honestly liken Jaden in terms of like how I was reading about these guys to Sonny. Like that's sort of the guy that has the wow factor, that's putting up a lot of points, like is capable of putting up a ton of points with a bad defense.
Sonny's flashier.
He might be, dude. Like, have you seen some of those behind the back passes he was doing?
Trust
in
me, that's
practice?
what I'm thinking. The perfect.
Oh my goodness! Yeah,
my dad. I swear to God, right now, if I call my dad and tell him come here, I need you to tell a story, we'd all be put to sleep because he wouldn't stop talking. Where do you think I got it from? But the other thing, he will talk your goddamn ear off about being in that goddamn parking lot with Sonny Jurgensen was throwing the football. He will not, because I'm talking about that. It's like, hey, Billy Kelmer and Sonny Jurgensen used to throw me the football. I'm like, yeah, I get it, Dad. You've told me. I understand. But it means that much to that man, and it's cool. It's cool. He's dope. I'm sorry. None of them compare to what it is we're seeing with Shane fucking Daniels.
No, he's special, man.
He's that special. Like, we're seeing that this is the only comparisons are guys that have played for other franchises.
Hey, dog, we were on that December 2023 at the time. We were like, oh, Jaden.
Yeah,
so I got guy.
JJ Matized.
You were JJ Matized, but others
I was,
were
man.
too.
We were early, but I'll 100% say I didn't like some of the shit I saw.
That's fair. And once again, I'm so thankful Chicago thought the same way, right? They were just like, we said that so many times. I was like, dude, I'm so glad that this Caleb hype's there.
But I did have this thought the other day in the sense of, I thought about it after we had the conversation about Michael Penix.
Yeah.
And I was telling you about the thing I saw in the diner as far as the catch-up thing or whatever. But then I thought back to Jaden Daniels, and I thought about why it is that JJ went up the rank for me. And I'm not going to call it racism, but I will say there are definitely much more feel-good stories that you fucking hear about the history of these guys when they're white compared to the history of the guys when they're black.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
And I will absolutely say, if I had heard everybody, you can go back. If you go back in the archives of District Divided and go hear the stories I had about JJ McCarthy, I'll tell you right now, if I heard half the shit I've heard now about Jaden Daniels, it would have been a contest for me. I would have been right there with you. I would have been a fucking evangelist for it. But I'm a sucker for a storyline. And there were certain, and Jaden at every fucking turn, every question I had, everything that I thought about in a sense of I was questioning him at all, he answered with flying fucking colors. He answered, turned around and said, KDot, this is for you. Like, that's what he did. Like, and so I can't help but be like, dog, I'm sorry for Jaden, if you're watching, I'm sorry I have a question you, sir. Like, I'm sorry. I apologize. And look,
there's a reason I don't give you nearly as much shit as I know I could.
Being right about Jaden is the rightest answer ever.
It feels great. Right? Hey, don't get it wrong. It feels great.
So, what sucks is I was with you and I left. I had a choice. I was on the float with you. I'm like, yeah, man, we're the only ones here. Don't this cool?
Pretty cool, huh?
Like,
yeah.
Dog, you see that JJ McCarthy dude? I'm down. Like, what the fuck? I'm an idiot.
Well, I mean, he led an undefeated Michigan team. Like, anyway.
Look, I'm trying to also be completely honest. I'm also trying to subtly downplay the fact that if JJ McCarthy goes to Super Bowl this year, I know. You've held on to a couple chips there. Just making sure y'all know that if it happens, your boy's gonna be a problem.
I was in the District Divided universe. We actually do this so often. I actually literally was like, "Oh, KDot's holding on." Like, that's the thing. He hasn't said
I gotta see this year.
We'll hear about it if he goes crazy.
Oh, you have no idea how much Vikings news I consume.
Oh, yeah. No, that's why I was already suddenly being like, dude, he's in a great system. I expect him to do well. It's just Oh, yeah. No, a lot of 4D chess going on. With that, we go to the comment mailbag featuring an intro from our very own Nikki.
Comment mailbag time, motherfuckers. District divided, ain't got time for no suckers. Spread the word, get in line. OGs and new G's, it's your time. And spread the gospel, cause this shit is divine. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, as always, for that intro, Nikki. We got a couple comments here from different videos. One for you, KDot, one for me. Same guy. Shout out at DJ Up to Demons and Twos. I think there are a lot of letters. It's a bit hard to tell.
I
But
felt like you cursed me.
no, but that's what it says.
Like you just,
I hope
felt
I
like
didn't.
reading that, you
I
just
hope
wrote-
I didn't. No. But
You
here's
just
the,
read something in Economicon.
well, we each got cursed, okay? Because it's one for you, one for me. So the first one for you. Thank you, KDot. You said Terry is heart, but when you start talking skill at a skilled position, is he top tier or even elite? That skill is to command elite money. Hour, 10-minute mark, 46. Hang on. I maybe thought it was Terry. It does say Yeri, but I don't know who else that could be referring to. And T is next to Y, so I assume it's Terry on the keyboard.
Probably. That's
But just want to
Good.
say, I made an assumption. Go ahead.
nicely done as far as context. Context clues. When we had the first discussion in the offseason pod about the Terry McLaurin situation, I'm on record saying if it comes down to what it is, I think if I'm looking at age and physical just attributes, if I'm just looking at how fast you could run, how fast you could jump, things like that, Terry's not anywhere close to the top of my list in the NFL. Like he's just not. Well, like if I was looking at what the ceiling is for a DK Metcalf, what the ceiling is for a even George Pickens, what the ceiling is for Malik Neighbors, those guys like that, Terry's not sniffing what it is that I would think that those guys can do. But it does boil down to two things. Number one is heart. And I'm sorry, but if you care about this franchise, you care about the history of this franchise, you care about the fact that I said that John Riggins is my favorite player of all time, this is for your unconventional, unsexy motherfuckers doing sexy shit. That's what I'm about. I like amateur porn. Like, that's what I'm about. I like to see the real people getting shit done because they got enough heart to get shit done. That's what Terry is. And then I also have to respect what Terry did by being a good fucking soldier here in Washington. The Eric Bieniemy thing, I actually think it would have been in Terry's best interest to be a fucking dickhead and to scream and rabble and do whatever. And you know what he did? I'm a good soldier. This man tried to emasculate me in front of the guys that I'm a leader of. And you know what I did? I'm going to keep my fucking mouth shut. I'm going to keep fucking going. That to me is the epitome of what the Commanders thing is. It's like, and then you see the difference between that Eric Bieniemy year compared to last year. And Terry's giving a fucking quotable speech every week. Like, that's what you're talking. The dude has been the consummate professional. I think that deserves to be rewarded. I know that's not necessarily how the NFL works. I know that's not necessarily how I could even go as far as that. I might lose a little respect for Josh Harris if he did think like me, but I just want the man to get paid. Whether or not that actually happens or not is the only reason you see me a little more worried about it than Amit's worried about it, in the sense of if I'm truly looking at it from a dollars and cents standpoint and where it is I'm spending money for this, that, and the other, it is a going with my heart play as far as making him as high as paid as I think he wants to be.
Here is the other comment, because I will now answer basically what you were talking about there, Kate, or address that. Amit, will our front office be any less than what you said if they pivoted away from number 17? Right? Which is, I think, a question you've asked me a few times, and I'm just like, they won't. Right? But let's go ahead and entertain that. All right? So I will go ahead and give you my honest thoughts here. If they pivot away from 17, I think that is the first huge mistake that they've made. Okay? So it is in Adam we trust. It is this. And I'm also willing to say that I think this would be a huge mistake, because I think that there's a lot of good football left in Terry McLaurin's legs, in his hands, in his heart, in his mind, all of it. I think this would be foolish to let him walk, to let him wear another uniform. It would sully last season a little bit too. Looking back at the season going, man, remember Terry? And then he left. Like this would be a mistake across the board, from a football perspective, from a fan perspective, from a team building perspective, which is why I keep saying they won't. Like, they will sign him, right? So when you're like, what if they don't? I'm saying I don't even entertain it, because I would be so floored at how stupid it would be to not re-sign Terry McLaurin. So that's why I feel comfortable and calm, because I do think that they see that. I will be floored if they let this man walk or try and trade him.
I think I'd be sad. I'd probably be a little upset. I would wait to see how he played before I'd make the determination whether or not I thought it was a mistake. But that's like that. I think that to me is the way that I'd look at this situation. Okay. Like, I just think, look, to be a fan of a franchise has been such a fucking loser for so goddamn long. You reach certain periods of time. I remember certain things with certain players, and like players I got angry about when they left, players I actually were like, bravo that you left, right? Mm-hmm. Ryan Kerrigan leaving and going to Philly. Didn't like that he went to Philly, but I thought, hey, you deserve better than what we're giving you. Trent Williams, Godspeed and good luck. They fucked you over, sir. I still think that there was more you probably could have given Ron Rivera, but I also think Ron Rivera handled that wrong. That to me was like, this is a mistake. We all know we're making a mistake, but it went too far. A wide receiver get anywhere around the age of 30, same way I feel about a running back, is just one of those things where I cannot let my heart go too far, because I care more about winning than I do about anything else as far as a franchise. And you know what I think about? I think about the arguments that people used to have about the Bradley Beal thing with the Wizards. Okay. And one to see him being the top banana here or whatever, right? When there were like options or opportunities, be like, let's jettison this motherfucker right now with Wall if we got the opportunity to start rebuilding. And hindsight being hindsight, we should have moved on from Beal as soon as we could have.
But there were also but I'm going to run with that for a moment, because there were also signs with Beal that he wasn't clutch.
Oh,
when
100%.
There was game 2 at Boston, he airballed from the free throw line. Yeah. Like, that is, so you already know, okay, push comes to shove, he may not have it. Yeah. I don't have that question with Terry McLaurin. In fact, the reason we did the NFC Championship game rewatch, one of the reasons was he's the only fucker that could do anything, right? So, like, there is no slowdown with him. Anytime the moment arrived, he scored in every single game. Every single playoff game he scored, right? Like, he set the franchise record for touchdowns. He just did this with 1 year of competent quarterback play, which is why I'm willing to judge it immediately. Dumb, stupid, mind-numbingly dumb if they let him walk, because he hasn't shown you any signs of slowing down.
There are 3 draft picks coming for you for next year's draft with this squad and this front office. You're not. Yeah. That's the other part of this, is that there's going to be compensation, right? So it's like the idea would be,
it's just,
I'm just saying,
you know what? It's still dumb. It's still dumb.
It's
still dumb, because here's why. You have just ruined one of the most important pieces of continuity, which is your quarterback's best friend, his wide receiver 1, is now gone. That makes no sense after the season he just had. It literally makes so little sense that I just can't comprehend it. That is honestly where I'm coming from. He'll resign. I got worked up.
We think Jaden will work better with this adversity. Is everything he's faced in his life, when he does face adversity, he only comes out better. So we actually think getting rid of Terry McLaurin might actually do Jaden some good.
Nope, not this time. not this time. No, you need 17 in the building, and he will be. Rest assured, he will be. We will get something done with him. We now go to Jaden Daniels at Fanatics Fest, the Bobby Beathard draft room. Oh, I didn't even mention Bobby Beathard's name. Stupid me. In the team history, legendary GM, best GM we've ever had. So Adam, don't screw it up here. And we go ahead and begin with Coach Lombard. Shout out Coach Lombard. Unfortunately, I'm in Arizona for the next 8 months, and the Cardinals are a bottom 3 team on my board. I do not believe in Kyler Murray at all. I am still super high on Michael Penix Jr., QB1, but I hate their defense, especially their defensive line. In terms of unis, burgundy and gold are a top 5 color palette, so it's hard to fuck it up. The burgundy jersey with the gold numbers are absolutely saved by the gold pants. My favorites are the Ross Tucker Redskins uni and the burgundy and white with white pants that look super indigenous. KDot, your reaction? Yeah, the last word in particular, but go ahead.
I don't know where you're going with that, Coach. I don't think I want you to Tell me. You know how I feel about gold pants. It's just that's the move. Kyler Murray. Look, if I ain't placed no bets on the Arizona Cardinals going into the season, probably because of Kyler Murray more than any other person.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think when the boy is good, he's good. So like I'm just saying, like if he can string together more of those in the good column compared to the bad column, I don't know. Because if I'm looking at the rest of that division, what Sam Darnold has showed up in Seattle, like I don't know. Does anybody really know? The LA Rams. They're going to be feisty, but who knows what the fuck their ceiling's looking like, right? I just look at that division overall, and I'm just sort of like, hey, they got a chance at this. And like I remember, and also the first name I think I mentioned when we talked about Arizona Cardinals was not Kyler Murray, it was Trey McBride.
Right.
Like that dude. And I just think Marvin Harrison Jr., I do think another year he gets better. And if that's the case, and if Kyler's got a phenomenal safety valve at tight end, and he's got a dude who can take the top off and just be a playmaker, Kyler with his legs or what have you. I'm sorry, that division. I don't hate them, but could I see them with 4 wins? Yeah, I can see it too.
Yeah, this is make or break for Kyler Murray this year. It's Jonathan Gannon's 3rd season in charge over there. He was the defensive coordinator with the Philadelphia Eagles, as of course Coach knows, and now you guys do also. So they are all sort of like, we need to do something this year or we're all gone. Yep. Kyler will probably move on, and Jonathan Gannon will certainly no longer be the coach after that. So this is make or break for them. We'll see. I think after 3 years, and if they're moving on from Kyler, they're not going to hold on to.
They're really cheap.
We'll see. And then Atlanta with Penix. I'm also super high on Michael Penix. I can't speak to their defense, but Jeff Ulbrich had a good defense with the New York Jets. We'll see. I'm not calling them like, oh my goodness, they're going to the Super Bowl or anything like that. Some people are so high on Michael Penix that they're like, okay, no matter what, they're going to weather it. I don't know about that, but I think he's going to be great this year. I do think so. We'll see how many wins that translates to over
the
there.
Atlanta stuff to me is just shootout. I like if
draft
like,
Drake
I
London.
just think that to me is like I just think they're going to be some shootouts. And if I'm looking at that offense, they've had a lot of dudes that disappointed me over time, but if they get the opportunities and they can do, like, if it's working, if the guys on that offense play up to the talent level at which I think they have, that should be a top 5 offense.
Oh, for sure. His the ball he throws translates to the NFL. You could tell from college. You're like, oh no, this you don't see most starters throwing it like this. Like he's got a little special something on that. So.
And if they get the Bijan mix right,
yeah,
I'm just saying. And that division,
who knows?
Anybody picking the Saints for anything?
Definitely not the Saints.
I ain't quite there with your Panthers yet.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Bryce Young fighting J.C. Horn these days. I don't know.
And it's Tampa Bay is going to Tampa Bay, but like, Atlanta, man. If they fall into the threshold, they were absolutely going to be my pick.
No, that's fair. That's totally fair. I would not. I would honestly be like, that's a good pick. Running it back with them this season. Now I'm excited about Atlanta. Coach,
I think it was a successful season last season compared to the pick, right?
It was a disastrous season. Are you kidding me?
What? For Atlanta?
For Atlanta?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, went bad.
They signed Kirk Cousins. What do you think? Do you see how much money they gave him? You think that was a successful season, just missing the playoffs and benching him?
He's on Netflix, quarterback for the second season.
Yeah, no, you lost that one. I would just go ahead and hold that out.
And how many games did they win the year before?
It doesn't matter.
The
expectation was much, much higher. Did they hit their expectations, KDot?
Did they finish with a higher or lower record than the Panthers?
Oh, higher.
All right, then I won. Fuck it. Fuck you.
On that metric, sure. But we go to Coach Lombard. Washington's offensive line created 0.4 yards before contact in 2023. Curious to see how they did in 2024. For reference, Philly created about 4 yards before contact last season. That's insane, dude. I mean,
can't stress that enough.
Yeah. 4 yards before contact. That's against everybody. Okay. It's not just when we played you guys. It is literally everybody. They're getting 4 yards just for existing. Coleman and Wiley should be upgrades at guard. Washington should be healthy for the first 6 games this season, which should help with their divisional positioning. KDot, your reaction to that comment, which
A
we got
lot,
a little.
a lot. In my mind, a lot's riding on Coleman. A lot is riding on Coleman. As far as him being the big body, and if I see the physicality he had at tackle translating into, hey, just move the guys in front of you. You ain't got to worry about anything else. Just move the guys in front of you. When I ask you, I mean, he probably is going to get asked to pull and do some things, but for the most part, just unleash hell to the guy in front of you, create some space. I think it's a much better position for what it is I've seen from Brandon Coleman's skill set, period.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, and that's just hope, there is nothing that tells me that they are going to be significantly better in run blocking. Do I think pass pro gets better? Yes. Do I think pass pro can help out with a lot of stuff? Yes. Do I think increased pass pro will help make the running game easier? Absolutely. But if we're talking about what I'm saying, which is blocking. What is your offensive line doing to the defense to create opportunities for the running backs? They have not been good. And I don't necessarily see it getting exponentially better.
I am putting a lot of we need to do a Faith Chips episode again, but the idea of Brandon Coleman being able to push and not from that guard position next to a Laramie Tunsil. I got the rose tinted glasses on. I'm not gonna pretend. I'm gonna keep it a buck. But if it does work, it's gonna be fun. Coach Lombard.
Super Bowl.
What'd you say?
If it works, Super Bowl.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
If
we
got
got
an
to run the ball,
block, yeah,
and then a play action's like, oh shit, does Jaden actually have it, or is Bill running right now? Like, it gets scary.
We now become Jaden becomes to us what Lamar becomes to Baltimore, but we got the clutch guy.
Yeah, it's awesome being able to talk about Jaden like this. Coach, with his final comment over here, yes. In terms of offense and defense, my focus is on financial commitment, especially since Adam Peters has not asked for a lot of options contracts yet. We'll take a moment. There's much more to this comment, but we'll take a moment to say that if you guys haven't seen Brett Coleman's video on option contracts and the accountants breaking the NFL, totally worth the time if you're interested in the numbers kind of stuff. It's an awesome breakdown, and the visuals, he's done an incredible job explaining it to even a non-technical audience. So just a quick shout out there. We can talk about options contracts when reacting. As you know, I am a huge O-line, D-line guy, and Super Bowls are won in the trenches. On offense, if Laramie Tunsil can provide actual pass protection for Jaden, Daniels can absolutely up-level. On defense, this is year 6 for Kinlaw. I am all about leaning on your draft evals, but it's a 3-year eval, and Kinlaw has done precisely jack for the first 5 years of his career. From what I've heard, Kinlaw will not be playing elephant, and Goldman will be playing nose in Witt's 50 fronts. That means Kinlaw will be mostly a 3-4-eye technique. If Washington will win 13 games this season and likely the division this season, Tunsil and Kinlaw both need to go off. Best of luck. And that got 3 thumbs up, that comment. KDot, your reaction.
Yeah, no, I think if we're looking specifically at elephant end, I look at Deron Payne as the guy who's probably going to be doing that because of the success that I saw with him last year on doing that and what it is they think about the young kid who I'm playing.
Johnny Newton.
There you go. So, yeah, but I also think that whatever you think's going to happen, probably think the opposite. I just think they're going to be moving a lot of guys around on the defensive line so they find out what works. It's the same thing they did going into last season. Last season, you look at the secondary, you look at they were moving everybody around so they found something that worked, right? So, I think that's going to be something Dan Quinn and Joe Witt, I've not seen. You get a lot of defensive coordinators that are more of an old school mentality football wise. So it's like, I picked the lineup, they're going to go out there and play. They ain't like that. They're very much like we're gonna figure out what works and then kind of go with that. So I always give him credit for that. It's a Dan Quinn has fostered a situation which you have a defensive collaboration more than you have anybody just speaking down. So I just think you're gonna see a lot of shit, and then whatever looks best looks best.
Yeah, whatever looks best looks best. I love that you said that because I think that what we've been preaching during this offseason is versatility.
Right.
So the idea that Deron Payne starts at elephant end makes a lot of sense. But then could I see Kinlaw there? Absolutely. And whatever looks good. Like that, I think is going to dictate a lot of what we end up seeing. What works against the Philadelphia Eagles? What works against the Dallas Cowboys? What works against the New York Giants, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we are trying to build a team that is malleable and able to play in different ways to be able to beat the opponent in front of them. So I think it'll be a case by case.
One more thing on the Kinlaw thing, which is if you go look, Kinlaw's bad tape is very easy to find because it is some horrific shit, especially last year. And you look at some of those games that with the Jets. There's the one game in particular where he just looked like he just wasn't even trying at some points. But if you do a little digging, just a little bit of digging, he's got a lot of good tape too.
I also appreciate you bringing that up because I think fit, scheme, all that stuff matters big time. We see it a lot in the NFL.
Yeah.
That, a player that maybe didn't do a whole lot in their previous spot ends up being really, really good in their new spot all of a sudden. I still remember, for example, with Walt Harris, he was like okay over here, and then he leads the league in NFL or in interceptions over with San Francisco. All of a sudden, he can catch all of a sudden. It's just like, what the hell is going on? That happens sometimes. And so I think Kinlaw coming over here from the guy who drafted him or helped draft him, I think makes a big difference. So you had a look there, KDot. Go ahead.
Wasn't Carlos Rogers need the eye surgery?
Yeah. He also looked down at the gold cleats on Monday Night Football. Remember that?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was, and so
he also went to San Francisco.
Right. And did amazing.
Yeah. Fit. New scenery.
Yeah, the other thing about this team is that they preach versatility, but even if you look at last year, you can look back as far as the defense has gone. I'm not going to speak to the offense, but on defense, if you look at Dan Quinn teams, to me, it's always been about, hey, we've got guys that have physical ability and holy shit, do they work hard. That's primary thing. And then what they do with that is, hey, we're going to try you at a bunch of different shit. And whatever we see you do best at, you know what? We're just going to actually do that a lot. And then that's what they do. And I don't mind that. It's not quitting on somebody. It's trying to find what you do best and then be like, hey, if we got other guys that can plug those other areas that we also need, just do that thing. Do your thing. And then you can have major success with that. I just think it's the ultimate why I love Dan Quinn and Joe Witt as coaches is they're also coaching versatility in the way that they look at things. That to me is like, I love that. And I love hearing that you got physical pieces of guys that have bought in. That to me only breeds success over a period of time.
That's what we talked about with George Allen. People love playing for him because of his ability to motivate. We got excellent motivators over here in our coaching staff. Jared Bailey, 1079, shout out. If Ertz stays healthy again this year, Sinnott is not going to see a lot of reps. So I wouldn't read into anything if that's the case. They've said several times that they did not expect Ertz to be available for 17 games. So when Ertz gets banged up, we'll see about Sinnott. But if Ertz stays healthy, he's going to be the guy and would not necessarily reflect anything about Sinnott. And so this is, I believe, in reaction to, we were talking about make or break seasons for certain players. And I'd mentioned Ben Sinnott. So I'll react first in that case, and then KDot over to you. I do think so. Jared, I think this is a very good comment, just to be clear. And I expect that early on in the season, even midway through or even 3/4 way through, we do see a lot of Ertz. I do think that there's going to be a moment where we do try and transition to more Sinnott as the season progresses. So if we just see Ertz the whole time and still no Sinnott, I actually would be a little concerned. But I do think that they're going to end up increasing Ben Sinnott's snaps. They actually started Ben Sinnott's snaps high early on. And if you watch the trend, it actually goes less and less and less and less. Shout out Ben Sinnott, though. He caught the pass from Tress Way in the NFC Championship game when rewatching on that fake punt. So that was dope. Nice little high entering the offseason. But that's how I feel about it. KDot, your reaction.
His high going, if you're looking through the course of the season, his highest offensive snap percentage ends up being in that New Orleans game. And then beyond that, he never crosses double digit for the rest of the year. But you also got to think about what games we were playing. Zach Ertz is a dude with playoff and primetime experience and a dude that, case in point, you showed through that run, it was Johnny on the spot when you needed something to happen, when you needed a safety valve. So I think a lot of the Ben Sinnott project became, hey, you're kind of developing. Fuck off for a second. We need a dude that can do some shit. to me, it'll just be about what Ben Sinnott does. They tried over the course of the season to see, and the same thing I talk about on defense, they did on offense a lot when it came to Ben Sinnott, trying to figure out what it is he does best, right? So they gave him some, and it just got, you're not as good as John Bates when it comes to blocking. You're just not. And then on the catching ball, you're not quite as good as Zach Ertz as far as catching the football. I would say that even if I'm looking at who it is as far as that tight end room that I think over the course of this last season looked best with the ball in his hands, it ain't close. It was Ben. Yeah, I think easily it was Ben. It was just very, very limited. It's just Ben Sinnott in his playing time is going to rely on him. I don't think he's got shit to do with Zach Ertz. It's him. Whether or not he takes the step up. And and that's where I'm at on it. From what I understand and I've heard as far as anybody behind the scenes and what you hear John Keim or other guys allude to when it comes to the Ben Sinnott thing, it's up to him. And this is where I'm at. I've been high on this dude because I think he physically has the tools. And what I see from a physicality standpoint, he's got them. I just didn't necessarily know about as much about his intangibles yet. And right now it seems like that's the piece that needs to catch up to what is this happening physically.
Yeah. We go over to, very well said, KDot. I think that is what I meant. And you just said it a hell of a lot better, which is if he's still not seeing the field at a certain point, I don't think it's like, hey, we're rolling with Zach again. I think there's now a problem. And it seems like it's just not working because you want to play that guy. Second round pick last year. You want to play him. Yep. We go over to Quinn Dusek 404. Shout out. I'll be very happy if the classic uniforms make a return. However, I do worry they will look plain. They were obviously simple, but the detailed skins logo made the uni. So the W on the side, I worry might make the uniform look really plain and boring. I also think this is a great opportunity to do something new that has similarities to older uniforms. KDot, your reaction.
I'm a minimalist at heart. So as you can see, these movie posters behind me, I like minimalist styles. So like, I'm all about keeping it simple, but keeping it looking good. That's just where I'm at on that. Yeah, I just, I almost thought about texting you to see whether or not you wanted this to be a topic because every other person that was on the Commanders had this as a topic over the last week. Did you see the poll?
Which poll?
The poll where 70% said something they would have Dan Snyder come back as owner if it meant that they could get the name back.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Oh, incredibly stupid. 70% of people, incredibly stupid.
And that's what it boils down to. I'm not saying who left this comment.
This was Quinn Dusek 404.
Quinn Dusek, I don't know you, buddy, and I appreciate you dropping a comment. I'm going to be ultra respectful. I'm just going to say what that poll symbolized to me, as far as people that love that logo and love that, y'all have lost your goddamn minds. And I don't. When I want nothing to do. Hear me out. I want nothing to do with the Redskins name or that logo ever again. If you find something cool with a spear on it, I might listen to you. But beyond that, leave it the fuck alone. Just stop. There were other reasons it looked classic. It was a classic uniform. It's the color combo and how it is you utilize the color combo. My problem has been the balances have been off and the pop hasn't existed the way it should pop. That's why I like certain uniforms better than other uniforms. I don't think they've used the gold properly in quite some time. So like, there's something there. You know the fucking rod that I had in my pants when I saw that W on that fucking helmet? Because you know what I thought? I was like, they're going to give us something fresh. It might be old, but it's like retroist. You remember that retro futuristic shit? Like when the Mustang came back, It was like, oh shit, it looks like that. That's what I want. I want something that's akin to that. Don't PT Cruiser it. Don't do that. But you can Mustang it. You can Charger it. You Challenger. You can go retro and still keep it new and keep it fresh. That's what I want. I want this Commander's name to reign supreme here in this fucking area. Because right now, I'm sorry, guys, I only got positive memories when it comes to the Commanders. When it comes to Redskins history, this shit gets a little more dicey.
Oh, it's fair. And I hope, like you're saying, KDot, that with the color scheme, that it does end up utilizing the colors properly. Like even this little thing, Commanders in the middle, I don't need that. Like, I don't really need this. Like, more minimalist. If this were just blank, I'd be cool with that, honestly. Like all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, you know what? There's just a little too much going on with this. So
Nike and fucking Nike, man. God damn it. You guys used to really be something. You got lazy. It's Nike and Fanatics. Fuck you too.
We're back to DJ up. Maybe it's Upton, Demones, and Twos. I don't know. But 2 more comments here. 1, the white uni top used to go with the gold bottoms, but Snyder got rid of that look. 4 thumbs up on that. We talked about the gold pants, right, KDot?
That's the 75th anniversary look, which is they took the look that I think they were having around the Vince Lombardi years. Because Vince is the one that comes and says he wants the R reminiscent of the G that they have for Green Bay, and he wants the gold helmets. That to me was the utilization of gold in that. To me, was absolute perfection. My favorite jersey I own is that 75th anniversary Chris Cooley jersey. Favorite jersey I've ever owned.
And here's the other one. KDot, why not us to win the Super Bowl? That one's in all caps. Now, remember, this is in reference to KDot going, hey, you know what? The Chiefs still have Patrick Mahomes, then I'm picking them. So that's in reaction to that, KDot. KDot, why not us to win the Super Bowl?
The running game.
There you go. And if the running game's going, like KDot said earlier this episode, Super Bowl.
I don't like going in. I do not like the fact that I absolutely believe it. If somebody can find me a bet market on this, I'll put money on it. Jaden Daniels will lead our team in rushing.
I don't want that. I've said that on multiple pods now. Yeah.
Don't either, but that's what I think is going to happen. If you gun to your head, you have to get it right. Who leads the team in rushing?
I would pick Jaden because I don't know who the running back is.
Right. That's my
one side, no, I would pick the running back. I just don't know that it's going to be
I think what ends up probably being is a hot hand sort of situation, which is like who is seeing it fresh enough to make room where there's no room. And if you're working good, cool. The moment you get cold, get the fuck out of there. Get the next guy in. Like, I think that's what it'll probably end up being. And it's not you. That means that your running game is in flux. You're trying to find the thing that works. And that's where I think we are. I think give it another year and we'll be right where we need to be. But like this season, I still see some struggles.
For those that wanted an Ashton Genty, for those that wanted a Travion Henderson, etc., we now have an offensive line that ideally is going to get chemistry together this coming season.
Yes.
And should that be the case, you are much better placed to be able to pick a running back in the late first or in the second or in the third, fourth, fifth, don't matter. You are much better positioned next draft to be able to get somebody that you like based on how the run blocking is. I want to say that.
I've been hearing this narrative recently about when it comes to the overpaying of running backs, which I still think that's gone, it went too far. But a lot of people, when it's all about the Saquon Barkley thing, right? Which is like, well, I mean, the Giants shouldn't have paid him because it's like anything was happening with New York. They didn't have the running game there. But
they had a responsibility to our division to pay him. But anyway, go ahead.
Fuck them. But it's like, but it's this angle that like, do not overpay or draft the running back until you get everything kind of figured out first. I think there is some validity to that if you're like right there at the cusp and like a special running back can absolutely put you over the edge. But if you do have a running back that the key with this running back thing, do you have a running back that can create space when there isn't any space? There are not a ton of guys that can do that around the league. If you have that guy, I don't give a fuck when and where you find him. You take that guy because he makes you better. Don't overthink it. Just get the guy that makes you better. If you need to get the offensive line in gear, do it for the special guy you get. Because I'm telling you, when it comes to the special running backs that can just create shit out of nothing, they're not that prevalent.
They're the ones that instinctually, when they see space on the outside, go, "Oh, I can definitely hit that before the backer gets there or before the corner gets there." Like that's
I can run this motherfucker over. Like
right, exactly.
Like
that's the special. And what Philly did, which once again, fuck the Giants for this. They had an offensive line built for already a special back, and so now if they're giving him regular run lanes, well, you saw it. He basically broke the record for rushing. One season. That's all it took. We go to Jess Santo to conclude the comment mailbag. Haven't seen him in a while, and he begins, "The prodigal son has returned."
Welcome back.
Troubled by talks of Terry being scorned. Both parties are on good terms, even though the businessmen are locked on the amounts of money being earned. Resurrected during the dead zone. New uniforms will be worn at home. Rumor season is running rampant across all the fans' phones. Is there enough pass rush? Will the DEs get home?
Hang on, are you rhyming? Are you trying to rhyme?
No.
He's rhyming.
I know. I know. I figured it out halfway through, and it's a little
right.
too late.
Do them right.
Well, then you read it.
No, you read
Go
it.
ahead.
I want to hear some A-Train rap right now. Jess Santo. I wish I had a beat. Where's Pharrell at? I need like a Clips beat.
I can't do it. Oh, the new Clips song is dope though. So be it.
Clips, yeah.
Even though it's incredible.
All right, fine.
I'll try again.
Okay.
But it may not go well.
Just saying, if he's trying to rhyme.
Well, I didn't realize it until halfway through the comment.
I saw you kind of putting it together.
yeah, real time. All right,
Yeah,
cool.
like,
how much time do we have here before Streamer cuts us off? 15
Okay.
minutes. The prodigal son has returned, troubled by talks of Terry being scorned. Both parties are on good terms, even though the businessmen are locked on the amounts of money being earned. Resurrected from the dead during the dead zone, new uniforms will be worn at home. Rumor season running rampant across all the fans' phones. Is there enough pass rush? Will the DEs get home? Is Lattimore good anymore? Does Debo have too much meat on his bones?
Oh.
Haven't you people learned? This is Adam motherfucking Peters. Let him cook. He'll set the tone. Now show your support to the district and share this fucking shit. That is the comment from Jess Santo. KDot, your reaction.
Fucking 10 out of 10. I mean, I wish you had a better messenger for your message, but beyond that, great.
I asked you to do it.
Huh?
I asked you to do it.
I actually do it right.
You would have. It's kind of hard to tell.
I would have absolutely butchered that.
No, it was difficult because then it's on a new
rhyme.
line, and I was like, "Oh, is this the right?" Okay, cool. Well, anyway,
Does YouTube allow? Yeah, YouTube allows you to. Hey, if you're gonna drop a line, do it where you put the bar like in the. Just don't
it
do a
would have
paragraph
helped, but
form.
Jess, you crushed.
You did.
You crushed. To answer the questions, yes, enough pass rush. Yes, they'll get home. Yes, Lattimore's good. Yes, Debo has too much meat on his bones just for kicks. Haven't you people learned? No, clearly. It's Adam motherfucking Peters. Let him cook. This was the show. This was District Divided, a DC Sports podcast, more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to what ended up being quite the episode with the team history, the uniforms being released July 9th, the alternate set, Terry McLaurin, once again, NFC Championship game rewatch thoughts in our offseason, along with Jaden JJ talk as well for kicks. And that was the common mailbag as well. I'm Amit, that is KDot. And if you enjoyed the episode, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and KDot.
Take's been hot. Vibe's been lit. Wish y'all a loud ass July 4th hit. Be safe, get loose. Don't burn your shit. You already know. That shit is shit. I'm just saying shit a bunch.
No, that's right. It works. Shit rhymes with shit. And a very happy Independence Day to everybody. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy a barbecue if you're doing that. If you're chilling at home, enjoy chilling at home. And we will see you guys next Friday at 2 p.m. We decided to drop this one just a little bit early so that it didn't conflict with your 4th of July. But you can always save it till 4th of July. So until then, see you next Friday at 2 p.m. Take it easy. Happy Independence Day, everybody.
All countries matter.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.